Hello everyone, it is Sunday night and we are coming to you live from inside of Bat City Comic Professionals in Bradenton, Florida to talk to you about all of this week's latest and greatest in indie and small press new releases. As always, I'm your host Shannon, aka Small Press Shann, here to help you wind down your weekend. And of course, if we're going to do that, we got to start with how we're actually winding it down. And so this week we are drinking El Coto, which is a Rioja, so it's a Spanish wine. And this one specifically is supposed to have a really big balance of flavors. Fresh fruit, vanilla, toasted oak. It's supposed to be silky and smooth and probably incredibly delicious because I love Rioja. And so we're gonna give it a try, see what we think. This is gonna smell really good. Really does.
Ooh.
Oh my gosh. There are so many flavors in there.
Wow.
I do like that balance. And I like the silky aftertaste. Like it coats your tongue in silkiness.
And spice.
Wow. Yeah, there's a lot of spice in there. That's very good. Man, it's just because it's Rioja. They never do me wrong. It's
Blackberry?
It just says
Vanilla?
it says it does have vanilla. It says it's got fresh fruit, but it doesn't say what kind. And then vanilla and toasted oak. And it does say it's a bright cherry color, but it doesn't say that it has cherry in it. But it does have, like, if you hold it up to the light and thin it out, you definitely get, like, a really pretty cherry color to it. Yeah, that's a really good wine. And I have a feeling this is going to get spicier as it opens up.
That's really nice.
Yeah, that's really good. Oh my gosh. And it's not like kick you in the face spicy. It's like perfect, like it is. It's perfectly balanced, like between fruit and vanilla and silkiness and oakiness and spiciness. Like that is well-made wine. Like, good job, guys. Way to go. And I was trying to see, like, I was like, does it have any awards? But I don't think it does, but it should because it's really good. Yeah, I mean, it's just an imported, I think it's a 2021, I think is what the back says. So yeah, really good. I recommend you try this one for sure. We're gonna keep trying it, obviously.
Especially if you like vanilla.
Yeah, it is really good vanilla. At least at this first, like, tasting of the beginning of the bottle, it definitely has a strong vanilla flavor to it, which is why I picked it, because Matt bought me a blueberry cheesecake, and I thought that the vanilla, like, if the vanilla was actually here and delicious with, like, the oak and stuff, that it would probably go really good with cheesecake. And I firmly believe that I made the right call. I think this is going to be great with a blueberry cheesecake, because the fruit is going to balance nicely, and then so is like I said, those spices and oaks and vanillas are going to be a great companion to a cheesecake. Very excited. I almost want to just not even eat dinner and just skip to cheesecake. But that is also just how I feel about cheesecake, so it's not really a high judge. We had a great week at Bat City this week. I feel like there were so many things, and I'm already going to forget all of them. It was Wednesday? No, Wednesday was just insanely busy. So thank you to everybody who came to pick up new comics this week, because it was a really busy day. But Thursday, we had an incredible honor. We got to, for the third year in a row, be a part of the Recess Education Organization's Juneteenth celebration. And it was so fantastic. This year, we had it at Reflections of Manatee, which, if you haven't been, is a really cool historical site right here, really like 3 blocks away from Bat City. It's right by the parks over here, and it is literally where an archaeological dig site happened, where we were able to find out a lot of information about freedom seekers who were a part of the Underground Railroad back when Florida was owned by Spain, and the people who the enslaved people who found their home there and built the community there. We celebrate them during the Back to Angola Festival, because the settlement was actually called the Angola Settlement, as and so we have so much to learn about that settlement, but so much that we already have learned. And so it was really cool to get to share that with the kids who came as a part of the reading conference for Juneteenth this year, and we actually got to talk to them about how you can tell stories about real life people and how we can tell historical stories through comic books. And so it was myself and our artist in residence, Adrian, who was out there with us, and Adrian and I are making a comic about the Freedom Seekers and that site. And so it was really great to share some of the pieces of that story with them, but also teach all those kids how to make their own. They were so incredibly smart. They knew so much about history, and we got to talk about the power and impact of not only our history, but storytelling as a way to continue that history and explore it. So just a shout out to Dr. Sharon Jefferson and the team at Recess for continuously putting on this great program for young kids, and for all the work that Recess does throughout the year to further Black history and Black community in Bradenton. And a shout out to Reflections Manatee for just being something that you can go check out Thursday. I believe it's Thursday through Sunday. It might be Friday through Sunday, but you can go get tours, learn about what happened right here in our neighborhood, and explore that history a little more. This past Thursday, we also had a workshop at the Braden River Library, and we got to work with their art club on how to take characters that they create and turn them into stories. Holy cow, were those kids talented, and were they so creative. And it was really cool because some of the kids that were there were at our very first workshop with Braden River, which was like 2 months into us being in Bradenton. And so it was really cool to see some of those kids growing up and still making comics and just getting even better at their writing and art skills. And shout out to Gabby, who went with us as our artist for that, and helped the kids with drawing the characters and bringing them to life. We also had our Ladies and Non-Binary Nerd Night this past Thursday. On Friday, we were at the Marauders game to have the first official Kids Club game. So thank you to the Bradenton Marauders for just letting us be the sponsors of the Kids Club this year and letting us be a part of it. It was First Responders Night, and so we got to color pictures for first responders and write thank you notes and stuff for them. And we got to give out a ton of free comics. And we will see you at the next Kids Club game for sure, which I believe is July 11th. We'll be at the games before then, but, we'll be there for sure for that one. If you are a Bradenton Marauders fan, or if you want to be, if you didn't know, you can actually go to Bat City's website, batcity.org, and for Fridays and Saturday games, there's actually a code on there where you can get tickets, and the money from that ticket goes towards, like, you getting a ticket, a drink, and a hat when you go to the game, but also part of that proceeds does go back towards our kids programming here at Bat City. So if you're planning on going to a game anyway, you feel free to, and you want to support Bat City, feel free to check out that link on our website. We also had comic creation workshops this Saturday. We had Slam for plot and how you create a plot, which was a great class. And of course, today was Sunday Craft Afternoon. So there was a lot going on this week. We've got a lot coming up in this week ahead, with Wednesday being the launch of our queer book club. And we've got queer librarian and advocate Molly Saunders, who's going to be here leading that for us. And we are reading Magic Fish. If you haven't read it, this is such a beautiful story. I love that it basically takes a fairy tale and wraps it into the story of a young Vietnamese boy who is here in America with his mom, kind of trying to figure out his place, not only as an immigrant child, but also as a person who's coming to terms with the fact that they are queer and not knowing how to express that in their culture, and kind of just seeing this fairy tale kind of balance out that and kind of be this story that him and his mom tell each other to learn English, but also to just grow as people. And it's so beautiful, and we're going to talk about it. It's going to be amazing. That is this Wednesday at 6 p.m. On Thursday, we have a creator meetup. I was like, what do we have on Thursday? At 6:30. So if you are an artist, a writer, a painter, somebody who wants to learn about making comics or making stories or anything like that, or if you're just working on something really cool that has nothing to do with comics and you want to come talk about it with other creative people, we will be in the classroom starting at 6:30 doing just that. If you are somebody who is a comic creator and you want to take part in our July workshop where we're going to be talking about the Mad Cave Talent Search, we are going to talk about what exactly that means at this meeting, so you can kind of get an idea of how to start, so you have a whole month to work on it before our next meetup. There's other stuff on the calendar, and I I'm sure that it's all great. There's Slam on Saturday, sequential storytelling, which will be taught by Anthony Pizzo, cartoonist Anthony Pizzo, and our own Santiago will be working together on that class. And so they will be here for you at 3:30 on Saturday. And Santiago will be leading Story Spelunkers at noon on Saturday. So come out and bring the kiddos for a cool, fun book club where they get a free comic. Check out our calendar if you need to know what else is going on. I will be dropping the July event soon because, of course, July is such a crazy month, and we want everybody to know what's going on so you can plan your summer. So we'll be dropping those early so you can start getting an idea for what that looks like. But until then, we're going to talk about comics. I'm going to take another drink of this wine because I can, and it's delicious. I'm really sad I only bought one bottle now.
Agreed.
I'm so glad that you agree because I was like, oh my gosh, we should have bought more. That is really good. Oh my gosh. Put that in your little Appy app later that we love it. Matt has a wine tracking app now, and this is one of those where I'm like, yes, I'm ready for you to tell people. We're going to kick it off, though, with Phantom Road, issue 13 from Image Comics. This is one of those weird tales from Jeff Lemire that you kind of wonder, like, where in the world are we going with this and what exactly is happening? It is all about, it started out kind of like with a guy who was a semi-truck driver, discovering that some of the truck stops lead to an alternate world and a weird reality, and he was partnered with this woman trying to get a very alien-esque type item to an undisclosed location for undisclosed reasons. They had no idea why, but they were basically being chased by these like phantoms, zombie type creatures, and there was some weird stuff going around that. Well, in this arc, we've actually seen that there is CIA agents who have been investigating what this actually is, and we've learned that there is like an evil corporate bad guy who is trying to, like, you know, run all of this, knows about it, is in for all these like secret stuff, is definitely doing something wrong. And so our CIA agents have finally crossed paths with our semi-truck driver, and we have finally seen those two worlds collide and kind of learned more about what's going on than we ever have before, and I am still 100% completely lost in the best way possible. The next issue is going to bring us some big revelations, and the worlds are going to get a little bit smaller in a big way, so I can't wait to see what actually happens with this. But the fact that, like, it has turned so many different directions is crazy. We have Epitaphs from the Abyss, issue 12 from Oni Press and the return of EC Comics. This is actually the last issue of Epitaphs from the Abyss, and you get to learn why in this issue. But there's 3 stories in here, and the first one, I believe, is Michael Conrad's story about a young kid whose father is the maintenance person at an aquarium that has a great white shark, and after witnessing the great white shark eat the trainer, the boy starts to feel some crazy connection to it, and kind of leans into that shark's strength and power for his own life in the best way possible. It is one of those where it's like, if you think kids are kind of creepy, it's gonna definitely continue that feeling for you, but also you're like, this kid did exactly what this kid should do. And then the second story is actually from oh man, that first story is so good. I just love that shark story. I wish I could show you the end of the story, but I obviously am not going to do that because I don't want to spoil it. That's the whole point of EC stories, is the cool twist. But this second one is a Matt Kent story that is all about a woman and her daughter who are in like this apocalyptic wasteland, and they're just looking for help and nobody will help them. And the way that that she goes about it, and she keeps trying to get people to do it. You just kind of see how bad humans are. But you get to also see where this is going and what has actually happened to this world. And honestly and truthfully, Matt Kent, please turn this whole issue, like whole little one shot, into a full story. I want to see the whole thing because it's such a good premise and such a good start point that I need it in a full story. And then the last one, I believe, is all about a woman who has a baby and is just absolutely convinced that there's something wrong with her child, and spends the child's entire life taking the kid to the different doctors and everything, just looking for somebody who will help her. And the girl's like, Mom, there's nothing wrong with me. And all the doctors are like, there's nothing wrong with me. But Mommy knows best all the time. And what we learn about what Mommy knows is kind of terrifying. We do get a teaser for the fact that while this is the end of Epitaphs the Abyss, we will be launching a new EC horror book called Catacomb of Torment. And we get to see that kind of built out in the frame tale that we get with our like Crypt Keeper kind of character in this one. So don't worry, EC horror is not leaving you so soon. And maybe Epitaphs will come back soon, but you're still going to have some great horror coming your way. All right, we've got I Heart Skull Crusher issue 10 from Boombox. I don't know how they keep making this world bigger and better, but they managed to do it every single issue with this story. It is so freaking good. And so if you don't know, I Heart Skull Crusher is the story of a young girl who lives in a post-apocalyptic wasteland, and there's no water. It's kind of got very like Tank Girly vibes where like water is kind of the currency. And there is a sport that's like murder paintball. Basically, it's kind of like hockey meets soccer meets killing people on the ice kind of situation. And so she's always wanted to play. She's got an idol that she wants to be, and she ends up getting a chance to play with them in this massive tournament. And in this arc that we've been following, we've seen that they kind of took her team and broke it apart and forced them to be on other people's teams and play against each other as a way to kind of quell this rebellion that is starting around these underdogs winning. And now in this issue, they are going against the queen of the world herself. And they are finding out that there's some secrets in this world that they didn't know about, not only about stuff, but about people that they're related to and connected to. And they learn that the history of this water and the lack of it is not what anybody in the government has told them. And they got to make some choices. We've got Flash Gordon issue 10 from Mad Cave. This has been a really fun reboot of Flash Gordon because it doesn't actually start with an origin story. This kind of just put us like well into the Flash Gordon world and was like, we're going to give you exposition essentially as we go if you don't know who Flash Gordon is. So we've just been on this big adventure, and it started with Flash waking up inside of a prison with Ming and thinking like, I have no idea where I am or what's going on, and him having to work with his biggest villain of all time to get free, and then of course getting extremely double-crossed. Well, now he's been spending the last 9 issues essentially looking for his wife Dale and trying to figure out what happened to her. And in the last issue, we found out that she was kidnapped, and she's been on this planet that's basically using her to make like a body double and to have an empress who is not Dale but is Dale. And Flash is determined to find his Dale through that. And now they are seeing a huge uprising and upheaval on this world as they go to battle, and Flash has to figure out how to not only save his Dale but maybe the other one and maybe everybody else in the process. G.I. Joe issue 8 from Image, Skybound, and Your Energon Universe, aka the combination of Transformers and G.I. Joe at Image. This is such a big world, and this is such a fun issue, and I hope that Joshua Williamson picks it up where he leaves off directly because it's been so good. Basically, if you don't know, Transformers are on our planet, and the Joes are the military people who are trying to figure out what's going on. They need to stop Cobra, they need to stop Deathstroke and Mars, and they need to figure out if these giant robots are here to kill us or help us. Because of that, Duke, who is the leader of the G.I. Joes, he has teamed up with, they've actually brought the Baroness, who, if you know, G.I. Joe is known for actually being a bad guy for them, and they brought her onto the team, and, you know, they're not sure that they can trust her, but she's been helping them so far, and so they kind of just let it go. Well, in this issue, she's like, look, I'm going stir crazy. You have to let me out. I'm not used to being, like, in one place underground in a bunker training all the time. And so they're like, okay, you can go on a 2-week vacation. But when you go on that vacation, by the way, CoverGirl is going with you. And the two girls are kind of, like, always at each other's throat because Baroness doesn't trust anybody, but also she just thinks that, like, CoverGirl is this like military brat who doesn't understand like luxury, and she's like, hello, I was a model, like that's why they call me cover girl. And so they end up at this diner in another country, in Paris actually, and they're just trying to come to terms with like what each person wants out of this trip and who they are and like how it's going to work. And we get to learn some special, like heartfelt things about the Baroness. But none of that, I'm going to not show you anything else because there's a big reveal at the end. None of that matters when danger is afoot, and the two are going to have to learn to work together if they're going to get out of it. Look who's back. Robot Plus Girl. We've got issue, I think we're on 8 now. Yes, from Keenspot. And we love this awesome book from Mike White. And if you don't know this story, basically there is a robot named Ara who is in danger of kind of shutting himself down, because once you become, outdated model, you become obsolete, and you're supposed to shut yourself down and go to like a scrapyard. Well, in the process of doing that, he meets a young woman who is just trying to be kind to the world and give out free hugs and just kind of keeps her positivity as best as she can. And they decide to team up and be buddies. And we've had some big missteps in robot, like Nara trying to help her, and like he's constantly just trying to help her for all of the kindness that she showed him, but he has gotten himself in trouble, captured by some people who want to scrap him, and she has broken into this facility and is trying to stop them from doing just that. And she goes crazy for her robot in the same way I would for my cat, and I love it. And I'm not going to show you too much more at the end, because there is we're building towards a big cliffhanger. But if you think that Ara is adorable and you love this story, you should also make sure you check out our classroom, because Ara the robot is actually painted on our ceiling thanks to the amazing Katie. And I'm just so happy that robot gets to be up there with us. But this is such a cute book. It's good for all ages, and it's such a fan favorite here at Bat City. I believe Ara was on our list of characters we wanted to be friends with last year. Yeah, because why not? Because he's just so wonderful. All right, we've got Bug Wars number 5 from Image Comics. This is such a huge undertaking in this story, and I think it's only like 1 or 2 more issues, and I'm just so curious to see how Jason Aaron's going to wrap this up. But this is all about a world where basically bugs are alive, like anthropomorphic, down under the grass, and a young man is a huge bug collector. He's got that hobby from his dad, who died a few years back, and when his mom and him and his older brother return to the house that they used to live in after the dad dies, they find out that he finds out that there's this mysterious world of all the bugs underneath, and that he and his family are somehow connected to this like magic totem that allows them to have the ability to travel to the size of the bugs. And what he learns in that is that the bugs are planning a war against his brother, who's always trying to kill bugs and is mowing the grass, and so he's like this terrible person to them, and so they are going to wage war on them. But what we learn in this issue when we talk to the witches in the web is that bugs actually could take us all out if they wanted to, because there are way more bugs on this earth than there are people, and if the bugs actually teamed up together, it could destroy all of the world. And so he's learning that not only does he need to save his brother, but he has to actually save all of humanity by learning to like stop these bugs. And so we are going for an epic big experience coming soon on these like last couple issues of Bug Wars. And also, like, just is he going to be able to save his brother is another question that he's going to have to face. We've got Pastime issue 3 from Mad Cave. This is a great book for baseball season. Vampires and baseball go together so incredibly well, and this is just another reminder of that. What I love about this, though, is that it does take place in like the 1920s, and so we are seeing some of those like Barnstormer leagues and like stories of a lot of the Barnstormer leagues that played outside of the major leagues, so things like the Negro League, but also just like other small community leagues for people who couldn't, who weren't playing in the league for whatever reason. And we are following the story of a man who is actually a vampire and who has come across and connected with a team of these barnstorming baseball players, and we are seeing them kind of go not only like through the motions and the mystery of what is going on with the vampires, which we get a lot of in this issue, where they really actually start to like tell us like there's more vampires and there's more mysterious things out there, but we also just get to see them play some really good baseball, which is what I love about this. And I'm always curious because it is supposed to be the 1920s and it is a barnstorming league, so I actually want to, like, when it's over, I'm going to spend some time just like really combing through it to see if there's any references to Shoeless Joe post him getting removed from the Major League Baseball, because this is where we might cross paths with him, and I'm like really curious if they're going to make him a vampire or just a baseball player. But we do see this, like I said, this world of the vampires in here because they do play against a team that seems a little cultish and crazy, and there may be something mysterious about them, but our two main characters themselves face some obstacles as they try to protect each other constantly, and that leads to some big moments in this issue that you're not going to want to miss. I Was a Fashion School Serial Killer, issue 3 from Image. I love this book. This is one of those books that I could put every single issue in Picks of the Week and be happy and satisfied with my choices. And this is from the same team that did Plastic, that did Plush, that did Vinyl. And so we're, seeing another story of somebody who's a serial killer who uses an artistic way to kind of stop them from focusing too much on it. And so this is about Rinny, who wants to be a fashion designer very, very much, but she has this problem where she gets things, when she sees terrible things in this world, she gets this itch and she just feels like she needs to handle it, usually by killing the people who are causing the problems and bathing in their blood. And bathing in the blood makes her feel calm and better. And so she's also learned great ways to upcycle other parts of the body so that she can use them for her fashion designs. But she's feeling really good about herself for the first time in life because she has great friends. She's doing well in school. She's being told that she has got all of the skills it takes to be a great fashion designer. And then it all kind of comes crashing down when her best friend faces financial difficulties and might get kicked out of school, and her best friend's boyfriend starts kind of being skeezy, and she's like, I don't want to have to handle this. And of course there's still the mean girl bullies at the school as well. It's such a good book. There's so much emotion and heart in all of these weirdly done serial killer stories. But definitely check this one out. It's like absolutely fantastic. You're not going to want to miss it. And if you haven't read the other ones like Classic, Vinyl, and Plush, I highly recommend those as well. The Great British Bump Off, Killer Bee Quilt, issue 3 from Dark Horse. This is our second volume, or a new mystery for Shauna to solve. You don't have to have read Great British Bump Off, the first one, because it's kind of like an Agatha Christie, like this is just your new Hercule Poirot story. And so Shauna is our great detective, and she has decided that she's going to spend the summer on her uncle's barge, sailing through the canals and places all along like the French area. Well, she ends up making a terrible mistake and scraping up her uncle's barge, and needing help immediately to pay it off. And so she gets a job at a quilting shop where a cute boy's mom works, and she wants to get to know the cute boy a little more. She wants to get the job to pay her stuff off. So she gets this job only to find out that there is some serious stuff going on, possibly rivalry between quilting shops that lead to some very cars getting blown up and people flooding basements and things like that. And she's like, there's either just a bad rivalry or there's something more mysterious going on. And after working as a double agent at both quilting shops, spying on the other, she's realizing that it may actually have more to do with something beyond just those two shops. And we have introduced 2 new characters in this issue, and one of them who we thought was going to be completely wonderful and perfect, and I'm still she's on my list of people to watch because I don't trust her, but there is some really great character development going on with all new characters adding in constantly to your mystery, and we're gonna see if Shauna can do it before she breaks, because she is about to snap. We've got Mouse Guard, Dawn of the Black Axe. This is issue 3 from Boom Studios and Archaea, and this is the end of this volume of Mouse Guard. This is the story specifically of our little mouse guardian who is challenged to take on the black axe, which is made by an elder mouse whose family is eaten by snakes, and he feels like this black axe that he's crafted is the perfect weapon to kill all 5 of the ancient snake rulers who basically have been eating the mice and everything forever. And over the last 2 books, our little mouse guardian has gone on his quest, much not with the approval of the leader of the mouse guard, but he kind of in this issue gets to have that face-to-face conversation once again. But we see he's battled a lot of snakes, and in this issue he's down to just the last 2, and one of them promises to take out, to keep the other one at bay and to kind of keep the mice safe without having to see those 2 snakes die. And the mouse guard learns that sometimes what you need to know is not only when to wield your axe, but also when to put it down. And he has to kind of learn that sometimes there's something more than fighting, but also sometimes people don't hold up their end of the deal, and you still have to be prepared to step in when that's necessary. Really great, beautiful ending to this story. And as always, gorgeous art for the Mouse Guard book. All right, we've got Invincible Universe Battle Beast #2. This is from Image Comics and the Skybound imprint, and of course Robert Kirkman. If you are a fan of Invincible, this is taking a character from the Invincible Universe and giving them their own solo story. And that character is of course Battle Beast, who is a guy who really just feels like the only thing in life for him is battling, obviously, hence the name. He feels like destruction and destroying people is all that he has, and because of that, he really just wants that opportunity to die in a glorious battle. And so he's determined to figure out where in the galaxy is the greatest warrior that he can face. And he's faced a couple people already, and none of them have been strong enough to destroy him. And so in the process of trying to get to the next place where they are going to go, and I'm not going to tell you how they determine all those things because it's kind of the humor of the story, but he ends up having to take on a completely different character, and he's really hoping that this is going to be the one that destroys him. And of course our story just continues to grow. I don't want to show you too much because I don't want to show you who wins fights and what happens, but you'll have to check it out, especially all of you Invincible fans. I'm going to show you what I can of this next one. We've got Money Shot issue 2 from Vault, and this is a really, honestly, if you didn't read all of the rest of the Money Shot series that has existed from the Vault universe, you don't actually have to. This kind of is like a requel. And Patton Oswalt's actually doing this story. And this is, it's all about, basically there's some explorers who, there's some scientists who realize that they can't control their grant funding and they're constantly losing it. And so they figure out ways to travel the galaxy and just create adult films with different alien beings and creatures all around the galaxy. Well, with this new requel that we've got right here going on in the very first issue, they find themselves all spread across the galaxy, and also they find themselves all dying. And they're like, oh my gosh, we have to do something to make sure that we stop this inevitable death that is coming our way. What's the best way to do that? And they're like, well, we all have to work together. We need to go back in time, and we need to find this person who's going to kill us, who is basically running a really anything that can be considered adult is bad. I need to get rid of all of the adult film and industry and things like that. And so they finally have found this guy, and they're so excited because they're like, we're going to introduce him to the world of sex and adult culture now, and maybe we'll make him like it, and he won't grow up to be this prude person who kills all the people who partake in it. But this plan is backfiring, and they try to take him to a strip club, and it does not go well, and there is all kinds of battles and issues and hilarity that ensues, but they may actually be a self-fulfilling prophecy at this point, and they really have to figure out what is happening. Exquisite Corpses issue 2 from Image Comics and the Tiny Onion collective, which is James Tynion and his friends. This is James Tynion's newest book. I believe this issue is actually mostly written by Michael Walsh, but Michael Walsh and James Tynion are putting this together. building out like this big universe where basically there are 13 ruling families of America, and they each year, like each couple of years or whatever, they just take turns deciding who's going to be in charge of the country, and it's all like they're actually secretly running everything behind the scenes. And the way that they do it is basically they quarantine off a town, and they each pick a champion, and they send their champions into this town without removing the people. They just make sure that no press and information is going to get out, and then they send their champions in there, and their champion's job is to try to kill each other and anybody else that they want to while they're at it, because they all take these side bets on who's going to kill the most people and do different things. And whoever's champion comes out on top is the family that gets to rule for the next term of office. And so we have recently we have just launched the battle at the end of issue 1. The place has been locked up and everything is getting ready to go. And so in this issue, we're seeing some of the people actually start to take each other out and things like that. But the town doesn't know anything about it. Nobody is informed. So we're starting to see people in the town like really wonder what's going on and why like certain serial killers and stuff are popping up. It's going to get wild. It's going to be one very dark, dangerous Halloween night, and we're going to see how it actually ends for them. Don't Run with Scissors, issue 2 from Keenspot. This is the latest from Francesco Perillo and Stefano Cartaselli, who did Love Me and Long Cold Winter. Yeah, and so this is their horror book. I almost said horror film. This has a really crazy story of a cop essentially like finding this woman running into the street, and she's got all these like cuts all over her, and she's like, they're chasing after me. And in issue 1, the cop is trying to kind of figure it out, and in issue 2 he's cleaned up the girl, and they're sitting around and they're talking about it. He's like, look, I'm going to take you home. I think you just like need to rest. I think there's nothing going on. But then he's like, but I do kind of like feel like I'm seeing people in strange places. And he's like, just just go home, I'll have the officer take you. And he starts to have like his own like weird experiences in this issue, but the story is just beginning. And so as she returns home, things get weird again. And honestly, this Stefano's art is just so cool in this book, and I always just want to show you everything, but I also never want to spoil anything. It's so creepy and great, and it gives you just like enough tension through the weirdness of the art that you are not going to want to miss this great horror story. And it's probably only going to be like 4 or 5 issues, because usually they sit their books around that like miniseries number. Up next, we've got The Cold Witch, issue 2 from Image Comics. This is a part of the universe that Charles Soule is building called the Shrouded College. But everything in the Shrouded College universe also kind of stands alone with like little through threads in it. And so this story actually follows a woman who is determined to figure out what happens to her husband, who he actually worked for the Shrouded College, and she feels like his death is in vain, and that there's something that he's been working on that they don't want to get out. And so she goes back to find actually the person that we met in the initial Shrouded College story, and is like, hey, I want you to help me with this situation. And so she breaks into the library of the Shrouded College, and she finds information on this cold witch. And basically it is a folklore of a woman who is a witch that you can go and make a deal with, and she can bring people back from the dead, or she can like give you other things that are similar in that nature, but you have to pay the price. And if you don't pay her price, she will reclaim it however she can, usually through like crazy like frostbite and like your body just essentially freezing over like wherever you are. This woman is determined to find this witch because she thinks there's something connected to the death of her husband in this, and she thinks she could potentially also use her as a way to take down the Shrouded College for the dangers that they put her husband in and the death that they caused of him. And so she is currently using her own wiles and her own like backhanded deals to kind of get to wherever this cold witch may be. And we're going to see if she's able to take it down. Everybody tries to take the Shrouded College down, and it never actually ends. So we're going to see if she's actually going to be the one who can end this mysterious organization once and for all. We've got Blood and Thunder, issue 2 from Image, and also Skybound. It's a big week for Skybound. This is such a cool story. I cannot wait to see just more and more of it. This is all about a girl who is she's working as a cop in like the lower level. This is one of those like sci-fi stories where like you've got the upper city and then all the like lower levels, and she's kind of on what they call the floor, which is the bottom of all things. And she is working as a cop, and she has a gun that has an like AI in it that talks to her, and that gun is outdated, but it was her father's, and so she wants to keep using it. At the end of the first issue, she actually ended up stopping like a bad guy who was supposed to be like hauling contraband and like selling things, and what she finds out is they're actually just books, and books have been banned in this world to where they're like all been destroyed, and she ends up stealing one, and she's like determined to like figure out like what's in a book and what is a book, and she's kind of excited about it. But before she can even do that, when she gets home at the beginning of this issue, a very dangerous villain has escaped from prison, and there's a tie to her story of her parents with that villain, and so she is called in as like, maybe you're the only person who can actually stop this villain, and we need you to come like save us from this prisoner who is currently ransacking the rich part of the city, so of course they care a lot. And so she's got to go face her own demons while she also faces this one. And I really, really like her. I love that there's so much that's still unknown about this character. I love that she's having, like, we're learning it by her talking to the AI in her gun. That's kind of like her only friend. It's just like he can remember all the things and experiences her dad had too when he belonged to her dad. And so you're getting all her history like through this. And it's gonna end up being like a really beautiful story mixed into it. And also I just can't wait for her to figure out what books are. Really good so far. Definitely check it out. Since it's only on issue 2, it's a good time to jump in. We've got Vanishing Point from Mad Cave. This is issue 2, which is issue 2 of an anthology. So really, if you didn't read issue 1, it absolutely does not matter because it does not connect in any way, shape, or form. But I'm really excited to discover that this is an anthology, because it's an anthology of awesome sci-fi satire stories by Mark Russell, which is everything I could possibly want. And in this issue, he takes on something very Jetsons-esque. It's kind of like we're watching the Jetsons, but we have a new kid whose name is Cosmo Warner, and Cosmo is not like the rest of the people in this town, and he doesn't seem to have any home or any parents, so he's just kind of latched on to the Tomorrow family, which is the Jetsons. And we're kind of learning, like, he doesn't know anything about, like, why he has, like, a messed up eye or how anything in this world works. And we're kind of seeing that even though this is the future and it's supposed to be great, like, of course, if you've watched the Jetsons, like, George Jetson is constantly getting berated by his boss, and the boss is Mr. Sprocket is terrible, and you get that same thing here where this is like an overly corporate terrible man, and they're kind of mean to the robot, and that's the housekeeper. And then you actually see that there's more to this world than what we thought, and the little twist and turn that gets us to this different world right here. I don't want to tell you too much about it. I want you to read it because it's such a cool transition from one part to the other. But as always, Mark Russell just tells a great story, and it's so fantastic. And I think that also that I really just like when Mark Russell works with Hanna-Barbera characters. So it's really cool that he took on the Jetsons. If you haven't read his Flintstones run, you should. But anyway, it's so good as always. And again, one shot because it's an anthology. So check it out. Trident of Aurelia Corazon, issue 2 from Battle Quest. This is a continuation of the Trident of Aurelia world, and yes, you do have to read the other volumes to read this one. But this is all about a young girl who ended up finding out that she was the long-lost mermaid princess, to summarize 3 volumes of this story, and having to save the world. Like when she takes over the crown of the mermaid world, she actually takes it over at a time when the ocean has been destroyed and the mermaid kingdom is gone, and she's having to deal with it, fix it all. Well, so she's now kind of fixed most of that, but then they had another battle, and now a lot of the mermaid people have been frozen and entombed, and she is trying to figure out how to fix it. Meanwhile, suddenly her long-lost aunt comes back and is like, I should be the rightful queen. I should be the one who rules the mermaid people. I'm demanding my crown and my trident. And she's like, well, the trident's broken, but if you want the crown, like, I guess. And they're like trying to figure it out. And so basically the you know, like ruling like advisors are like, why don't you guys do a competition to figure out who can actually save our people? Essentially, whoever is able to unfreeze these mermaids and bring glory back to our people and our world will become the true queen and the rightful heir. And so they are trying to figure that out, but the aunt is obviously filled with double crossing and connected to some shady people, and so she is already playing dirty, and meanwhile our queen is just trying to do what is right for her people, and it is not going to go well for anybody involved. And we're going to see if they can figure it out together and see what happens. Before I talk about number one, so I'm going to take another drink of this delicious wine. Again, it's El Coto. You need to go get this wine. We got it at ABC Wine, and it wasn't very expensive. It was, I mean, we never buy wines that are over $15 for the show, so you can always just like know that these are cheap and easy to grab wines. That is so good.
Man.
That is really good. I really do wish we had another bottle for another day. Obviously not right now. Maybe. But it's so good. It's got such good spice flavor to it. Oh my gosh. Okay. Woo. All right, we are jumping on to the next one. Like I said, we got some new number ones. The first one is Bitchcraft number 1 from Mad Cave. This is one of those books that you're like, this is going to be such a cool series when, like, as it unfolds, because you put so much into your number one. And we already have like these 3 very elaborate characters, and so basically we are in a world of witches, and I mean it's our world, but there are witches in it essentially, and there's 3 that we are following, and these 3 each have a different power. One has like the power to talk to one has the power of hellfire, one has the power of is like a green witch with the power of the earth, and one has the power of like divination and like being an oracle, and they have like a literal third eye. But this isn't a dark book at all. Like they're so funny. They're just kind of like 20-somethings like living their life, but at the same time they're witches, and they're trying to figure out their witchcraft. And they have this like ancient woman who is supposed to be their trainer, and she shows up because they accidentally cause an eclipse, but they don't know how to undo the eclipse. And so now the world's kind of just stuck in this darkness, and she's like, I'm not going to help you. You have to figure it out. Part of like learning your power is also learning how to undo the things that you cause. Meanwhile, though, there is actually this like cult of people who are trying to destroy witches, who maybe steal power from them. I'm not really sure. We don't really know what they're doing and why they're like so against witches, but they are the eclipse kind of signals them that there's new witches in the area, and that they need to go after these 3. And since they are young and inexperienced witches, this is going to be very bad. They try to just like shake it off by going out to a club, and everybody's like, dude, go home and fix this problem you caused. And they're like, aw, like, so it's really great because it is kind of just like a 20-something, like, what are we doing? Like, oh, well, we messed up. Oh, well, like, let's just blow it off and like go out and have fun with our friends. And then everybody's like, dude, like, you literally messed up the entire world. Like, if the moon isn't here and the sun can't come back, that's big bad. You need to handle it. And so I love them just being told, like, figure out your lives and go home. It's going to be really good. We've got Bloodletter issue 1. This is a new book in the Spawn universe. We've had so many different like Spawn titles coming out as they expand that world, giving characters that appeared in like the old Spawn stories but didn't necessarily have like big roles their own books. And so this is all about a woman who goes by Bloodletter. And she's got a very big vendetta against Al Simmons, who may know is Spawn. And so she is, in this story, she's kind of like, I'm determined to get like my revenge on him. I want to figure it out. And so we get to see her and who she is. Like, we see that at the very beginning, and then we kind of go through some of her own story, and we see her being a little bit of a double crosser, and that she's not really like the best person. Like, she's like, oh, she saves all these people on this boat, and they're like, oh, you're freeing us, like, you're freeing us from this, and she's like, no, I have nothing to do with that. Like, this somebody else paid more money for you, so I'm just essentially like giving you over to those people. And we get to see a little bit of the magic and like power that she has, and we see what it is that Al Simmons did that she thinks is, you know, the problem. And we kind of see that it stemmed from her being a part of the CIA and the work that she did when she was undercover. And basically she got too far into her undercover story and kind of started building a life with that. And it was Al Simmons who was the person who came against her, and she blames him for the things that happen. And so we're going to see her take that power that she's given herself and kind of that vendetta against Al, and we're going to see maybe she'll do it. So far, Al Simmons doesn't actually appear in most all of the like Spawn titles, like other than just the reference point of how does this person connect to him, in the same way that like the Hellboy universe books, like sometimes they say Hellboy's name, sometimes they show him, but then the books aren't really about them. So I'm curious, because so much of her story is like, I hate him and it's making me who I am, if we will actually see more of him in it, because we see him before he dies, and then we see him on like the TV as Spawn in this, but we don't really have like, they don't necessarily need to use him more than that as she starts to build out who she is. So we'll see how it goes. We've got The Last Witch, Blood and Betrayal, issue 1 from Boombox. This is finally, I should say, a new volume of The Last Witch. I was really curious to see if this was going to be one that like picked up right where it left off, and it totally did. And I'm really happy that it did, because I loved this story, and I'm so glad that we're just going to keep it going. This is about a young girl and her brother who live in Ireland, and they are witches, or she's a witch anyway, he's not a witch. And the grandma's a witch, and the mom was a witch, and they are supposed to essentially avoid the woods because danger lives amongst them, and they, of course, the little brother does not. There's something bad happens to the dad. The mom's been like, gone for a long time. And so the grandma has to take this girl and train her, because now she's kind of the last witch who can stop this evil witch. And she's been doing just that. It's because it is Irish culture. We get to see some cool shapeshifters. We get to see fairies. We get to see other things. It's very Avatar: The Last Airbender, because she does have to learn how to control each of the elements for her magic in order to do it. And so she's been kind of in that space and figuring that out over the first volume. And now as we've come into this one, we actually notice that there is something that she hadn't learned yet, which is that over time the magic will take its toll on you if you aren't using it for the right reasons. And so now she's finding herself very angry all the time and lashing out at her brother and just being really offended by everything that everybody does. And she's like, I'm not mad. And the brother's like, I think that the magic is affecting you. And she's like, no. And then it's like something happens to her brother, and she realizes like, oh, maybe she has been completely blind to things. And maybe, just maybe, grandma isn't telling the whole truth about everything in the family and stuff. So we're going to see what happens as this continues to roll out. And we did ask Boom if Volume 1 was going to be coming back in stock, and I don't know, because they switched distributors, and I don't know if they answered that question. But Greg, if you end up watching this tomorrow on Monday, like you say you usually do, if you know the answer to that question, if you can comment it so I can tell people that it's coming, I would really appreciate that. But we would really... we really need Volume 1 again, because it's just such a great story. And with how many people are coming in all the time asking for Avatar: The Last Airbender books and like Kid Witch books, this is the perfect center point for both of those. And so I hope that you get that. I hope we get it back. The Oddly Pedestrian Life of Christopher Chaos is back, and it is starting a new arc called Children of the Night. This is from Dark Horse and the Tiny Onion imprint. If you don't know Christopher Chaos, this is about, it's kind of taking your Universal Monsters world and giving it a modern queer take to it, which is really cool. Christopher is a young person who isn't really sure who they are and what they like want from their life, but they know that they're a great inventor and they're really, really good at equations and math. And they've recently teamed up with a vampire who goes by Vampire Boy, whose name is Jordy, and then a young girl who has the power to control like ghost cats. And then recently these two werewolf siblings have moved in, and they don't really trust them, except for Christopher. Christopher just trusts everybody automatically. He doesn't know any better. But they're not really sure if they should trust the two werewolves, and for good reason, because they probably shouldn't, because we know whether or not you should trust the werewolves, and it's not really a good idea. And yet at the same time, I think that a lot of that has just been like their parents telling them to be certain ways, because their mom is the werewolf queen, and a werewolf was killed at the very beginning of issue 1, and so she's trying to figure out if these people are responsible for it. We've gone on some really big adventures, and there has been so much to it. In this issue, Christopher is reading a comic that he is lent, and it is called Monsters in Love. And what I love about it is that this is a flip book, and we actually get the Monsters in Love comic on the backside, which I think is really cool. So you can actually read the story of that issue of Monsters in Love, which is about a young vampire, young appearing vampire, vampire's never young, a young appearing vampire who's like in her 20s, like human wise, wanting to have the experience of going out on the beach the way everybody else does. So she figures out a way that she can attend the beach, and she falls in love with the lifeguard, and she really wants to find a way to talk to him. But in the process of all of that, everybody knows like you're not supposed to go to the beach at night, because vampires come out to the beach at night. And one night, as the sun is starting to set, the lifeguard's brother is attacked by a vampire, and she realizes the only way that she can save them is to expose herself as a vampire and like fight the other vampire. But will it risk her losing the vampire or the human lifeguard that she loves? Maybe not. You have to read it. And also, Tate Bromble, can you just give us a full run of Monsters in Love? Like, if you could just do these stories. Like, I don't even think Tate's writing these. I think, this was Bradley Clayton who wrote these. And yeah, Bradley Clayton did the writing and art. So Tate, James, Tynion, I know y'all are overseeing all of Christopher Chaos. So if you could just get Bradley to do more Monsters in Love at the back of like every Chris Chaos issue for the rest of this arc, that would be amazing. Or just a spinoff, a complete spinoff. I want romance comics. I want them. And this is the perfect example. Like, this is exactly what we want. Give me this story in an ongoing, please. Thank you, Bradley Clayton, for making that happen in the best way, and thank you to Tate Bromble and James Tynion for pushing it. And speaking of Monsters in Love, we have Monster High. This is a one-shot. It is the Loch Ness Monster. Oh my god, I'm getting there, I promise. This is a one-shot. It was previously released digitally, but now for the first time, it is, I think it was digitally, or it was at least in an anthology previously, but now you can get the story for the first time on its own. This is all about Laguna and her boyfriend Gil, and they are just like the cutest couple. And Laguna gets a locket that Gil makes her out of a seashell that is left on his beach towel while he's at the beach with his friends, and he turns it into a necklace for her. And as soon as Laguna puts it on, she kind of transforms into a Disney princess, and like her hair is already the best. Laguna has the best hair out of all of the monsters, but she is like in this like fancy dress, and she's singing, and everything she does, she can't talk, she can only sing things, and she doesn't even notice. She thinks she's just speaking. So Gil has to like kind of figure out how to save her from that, and also save her from the embarrassment, because she goes to help with the school dance and setting it up, and she can't stop dancing and singing, and everybody's kind of looking at her. So Gil has to figure out how he can save his one and only, and figure out what's also happening with this weird thing that's making her sing. It's so cute, and I love it so much. And if you're a Monster High fan, you should definitely be grabbing these Monster High issues that are coming out. And they're doing all these one-shots right now in between the arc of like the story that was going on, like the ongoing, and then this one. All right, we've got Chaos Agents. This is from Cosmic Lion, I believe. Yeah, and this is Ghost Agents. Ghost Agents. Why did I say Chaos Agent? I don't know. I have no idea where I got chaos from. Ghost Agents. And this is, I believe, the whole thing. It's kind of like a square bound, almost like a full graphic novel. But when I open this up, you're going to love the art of this story. So it is so wild. Look at this. And it smells so good. Newsprint. So heavy inks. I love it. Basically, it has two different stories in here, both of which are about this woman who is a secret agent, essentially. And in the first story, they are fighting against some people who have turned into monsters, and they're kind of having to deal with, how do you take these monsters down? Where are they coming from? How do, like, are they, like, actually monsters? You know, all the things that agents in those kinds of situations do. Plus, it is supposed to be the case of another man, but he needs her help because she is our all-star agent. I just love looking at the art. This art is so rock star. It's so cool. The second story in here also, it's also following Donna, who is our agent, and it's her going out to a dance club and just trying to have some fun. And while she's there, some stuff goes wrong, and she has a possibly bad trip in their experience, and this art is so perfect for that. And so we get to see Donna's like wild night out as she's there, and I love this like disco ball scene where you can see all the like reflection of everything in the room happening on the ball. It's so cool. Seriously, if you just like, it's this book exists for you to look at this wild, awesome art, and it's square bound and it's taller, so you get more art for like more bang for your buck on your art. It's so cool, and yeah, you just have to check it out. I don't want to show you everything, but you need to see the art because that's what makes this book so good. But it's $10, but you get 2 stories, and again, it's square bound and filled with awesome art that smells amazing. All right, and then we've got the last one before the picks of the week is we have The Revolution of Cassandra, and this is issues 1 and 2, and it's from Bliss on Tap. There will be 3 total, like, it's 3 issues total, but I think that, like, each one might be double issues, which is cool. So basically, the coolest part of this whole thing is that the story is done this way. And this is about 2 sisters who, after something happens to their parents, they return home to the place that they're from. It's so hard to...
Maybe you can put it on the counter. Like, there you go. Yeah.
And they return home to their country, like to their, like, the country that they're originally from, and they kind of decide that they're going to take over the story of what they're like, the project that their mom was doing, which is kind of being a part of a revolution. This country is filled with all kinds of trouble, and so one of the main things is that, like, the kids, like, nobody has food in the country. There's an uproar between, like, currently with, like, the president and, like, the president that, like, the person that's running for president. Like, there's this whole, like, we need the old guy back, like, but something happened to him, and then there's this other person that's running, and he's awful, and then the person who's currently is like running a dictatorship, and so they're trying to figure out, like, you know, all the government side is trying to figure out that. Meanwhile, these sisters are just trying to do whatever they can to get food and like clothes and toys and things to the kids in the community and the people in the villages. And actually, like, it starts really intense because the first time we meet one of the sisters, she walks up to a kid who went out into a field to get his ball, and his soccer ball that went out there, and she walks up to him and she puts her foot on top of his, and she's like, you can't move your foot because you just stepped on a landmine. And she's like, so I need you to look at me. And she's like, I'm gonna tell you a story. And she starts, like, telling him a story, and then she, like, helps him, like, and her switch feet. Like, she's like, I want you to slide your feet out of your shoes kind of thing, and, like, keep the pressure. And it's, like, so intense and such a great opening to, like, meeting a character, and, like, tells us everything we need to know about them. Also, Matt, they play Stump in this.
Oh, man.
And I thought that you would love that. I know you were excited about this book anyway, but they actually, like, play Stump. I'm really excited because there is a twist to the story in that usually they get their supplies from one place, but they end up getting entangled into some of the revolution in a completely different way, and like not in a way that's good for them. It might actually lead to like their death and their destruction. One of the sisters is like the bleeding heart who just wants to do the right thing and help the people. The other one is kind of just like, I want to go back to what my life was before this, and yet they will do anything for each other. And where they are and the double crossing and the shadiness that's coming after them and the danger that it's putting them in is really going to be a huge story. I cannot wait to see what else exists with this world. There is a great letter from the author at the back that is essentially about like how it does exist to tell stories that inspire revolution and inspire change, and how it's up to us to not only do those things but also to share that through storytelling. And you definitely should read this book. And again, I love that they play with the medium like that. All right, we've got our 3 picks of the week this week. Obviously, number 1 on here is going to be Los Monstros number 2 from Dark Horse. This book just continues to be super awesome and amazing, and I'm like, if you haven't checked it out, you absolutely should. Basically, it is Los Angeles in a time when in a different reality where the universal monsters and all of the creatures like that actually exist, and they live in Los Angeles and they've taken over it. And we have the Wolfman, who is essentially our private eye, and has been, he used to be a cop, but now he's just that crass detective who's on his own trying to figure things out. And a man comes to him and says he's trying to find the love of his life, who is a vampire who's been living in this city, and he hasn't seen her since she came there. And in the process of investigating this, we find out that she may be entangled in some really seedy, scary, dangerous things that are going on in the underbelly of Los Monstros. And he's kind of getting pulled into something that the vampires are telling him to stay out of. We also get to see the mummy world. We get to see we get to see some of the other awesome universal monster creatures come to life. Like we have Frankenstein's monster working essentially as a doorman at a casino run by the mummies, which looks like the Luxor in Las Vegas. But it's such a good story. And we also just have him in his day-to-day life of him trying to find his own person to date, and the dame that he's into. A great story, great art, great character development, so much to come with this. I hope that they take their time with this world and they don't just push the story too quickly to finish it off, because this is a world that you could just keep doing stories in for as long as you want, and we would keep buying them. So really great. Definitely check it out. We've got the launch of Benjamin with issue 1 from Oni Press. This is definitely was a fan favorite this week in the store, and it was a really well written book, and so really excited to see where this goes. But if you haven't read it yet, this is a story essentially of a man who wakes up inside of a hotel room and finds himself not having any clue what's going on. Actually, one of the things I really liked they did early on in this book is, since he doesn't know, he's waking up, everything is really blurry and groggy on a couple of the panels, and I really liked the way that actually looked and was really cool. But anyway, he wakes up and he has no idea why he's there, and he ends up going to breakfast with this man who's like, oh my gosh, your whole story reminds me of those books my dad used to read. And he's like, what books? And he's like, oh, these sci-fi books, they were by this guy, and he describes the guy, and then he's like, oh, his name was this, and the guy was like, that's me. And it's like, wait, you're the writer? How did you end up here? What's going on? Where are you from? You're not even supposed to be here for reasons that you'll learn when you read the book. And he's like, what is happening? And he's like, I have no idea, dude. I don't know what's going on. This is strange. This is kind of one of the books that I wrote, though. And so they have to actually research the man's books. And so the guy's like, oh, well, my dad had all of them, so we could go to my house and we can go through all the books and maybe we can find the one you're looking for. And the guy's like, he's like, you don't remember which book it is? And he's like, dude, I wrote so many books, I don't know. But there's so many random references to the entire, I love watching Matt talk about this book because it's so many references to everything Philip K. Dick. And
I was waiting if you were going to say the name of the author.
Yes, well, because his name's not that. I was waiting to. It's trying to build to it, but it's essentially Philip K. Dick. I mean, it's like almost an anagram of Philip K. Essentially, kind of feels like it. But that's the whole point. Like, this is literally, and that's what I was trying to build to. This is literally like, what if Philip K. Dick was stuck inside of one of Philip K. Dick's books? And so if you are a fan of pretty much anything in the sci-fi world, which he, of course, calls an insult to the books, but if you're a fan of anything in the sci-fi world that you've seen in modern, like, American film, you're probably a fan of Philip K. Dick. And so this is taking those worlds and sticking the author who created all of that weirdness into his own problems and being like, now you have to solve it. And I love stories like that. I mean, this is honestly, if you were a fan of like the detective story Profane that came out where like the fictional character had to solve the death of the writer, this is kind of like a sci-fi version of that same thing, where we're seeing but now we're seeing the writer have to live in that world. And there's so many twists and turns that are already building up in this issue. And you're really pushing it out. I love it because the writer of this book is actually a Philip K. Dick Award winner. So this is somebody who really loves sci-fi and really loves Philip K. Dick, really just bringing that story together. Oni Press has been really pumping this up for a long time, and I specifically was like, I don't know. It's like, I'm not a Philip K. Dick reader, so whether or not it's going to resonate with me was what I wanted to see. And I was like, and I don't know, like there's so much hype on this one coming out, and I was like, let's see how it really is. And then I was like, wow, this is just really well done. And even if you don't know Philip K. Dick stories, you still get the reference, and you still get the idea of like a writer being stuck in his own sci-fi world. And at the same time, if you think you don't know Philip K. Dick stories, you probably do, because you've probably seen things like Minority Report and Blade Runner, and
if you've read Flow My Tears, the Policeman Said, it's that plot.
Story. There you go, for the Philip K. Dick fans. And the Philip K. Dick fans are like calling the store to tell us how excited they are about this book. So you nailed what you were going for, Ben Winters. So good job. And then lastly, absolutely hands down, my favorite book of the week, without a doubt, is You've Never Heard of Me, issue 5. From Dark Horse. I talk about all the time that this is a creative team that I just absolutely adore because of all of the amazing, the few people who are giving me the rom-com stories that I want. And this book was so incredibly good that I cried a lot when it was over. This is basically the story of this young boy who his family has a history of one person in each generation, like every other generation essentially, having the ability to like touch somebody and see their best and worst moment of their life. And his grandma always told him that whoever had that power in the family, it was kind of their job to make, if they saw something terribly, terribly bad, to kind of make it better for those people and not let bad things happen. And so in the very first issue, he ends up saving a girl in school from getting beat up by a bully to the point where she was going to be just like absolutely like paralyzed and things. And he ends up telling her like what his power is, and she's like, we have to do something. And he's like, I really don't want to do anything with this power. Like, I didn't want this power. I don't want this this responsibility. But they end up meeting another kid in their school, and this kid is very worried about their, like this kid is their worst moment is that they are going to commit, like they're going to like kill themselves at some point. And this like kid is like, he keeps seeing these visions that like this kid dies, and he's like, I don't want this to happen. And so they decide in the first issue that they're going to make friends with this kid, and they're going to just like give him the friends that they never had. And I don't want to show you the end of the book, so I'm going to go back to some things. And so anyway, they end up befriending the kid, and the visions don't change, and he keeps seeing it and keeps seeing it and keeps seeing it. Meanwhile, his sister is also the happiest moment of his life, like her life he sees is like marrying this girl, and she's too afraid to go talk to her because she's worried that she's not living up to her dad's expectations by not doing well enough in school. So he's trying to like help his sister get to that. He's trying to help his dad realize how to be a better dad, and that it's not his fault, like that their mom isn't with them anymore. And so in this issue, we just get the culmination of all of those things, of like talking to the dad and helping the sister and helping the friend and helping every like buddy, and yet helping himself and like figuring out it all. And it was so incredibly beautifully done that like you have like this sense of happiness and this sense of belonging that comes to you from reading the book. And it was just so incredibly amazing, and I just think that everybody should read this book. And it's so good. And just take your happy tears tissues, because it's going to kick you in your feels in the best way. But it was so good, and seriously, like, so many like fantastic awards are coming your way for this book, I'm sure. I loved it so much. I cannot wait for trades so I can shove it in everybody's hands, but we do have all 5 issues in stock now. So if you need to check it out, come check it out. I really hope that's true. I'm pretty sure it's true. All right. Other things that we have in stock. If you didn't know, we are a place where you can pick up Zdarsky Comic News, which is Chip Zdarsky's monthly newsletter about comics and all things comic book industry. It is always one of my favorite books to read when it comes out, and this is no exception. This issue was fantastic. And it also has some really great manga suggestions in here from the Manga Splainers. So if you need some suggestions on manga and you want to know what, there's some good ones in there. We've got issue 50 of Copra, because we went back to the original numbering, I guess. I don't know. We were on Death of Copra, and now we're on issue 50. It is Red Sonja Attacks Mars, issue 3. What's really cool is you get these awesome trading cards with each issue. You should definitely, which is, of course, a Mars Attacks thing to have Mars Attacks trading cards. We've got Weapon X-Men issue 5, which I believe is the wrap-up of that. West Coast Avengers issue 8. Usagi Yojimbo, 10,000 Plums part 4 of 5. Power Man Timeless issue 4. We've got Crypta, the Last Dog of Krypton, issue 1, and we do have blanks for that so that you can get some of your dogs drawn on there. Jeff the Land Shark has a new ongoing series, and I love that he got his own Art Germ cover. I love that Art Germ did a super snazzy Jeff for us. The Insurgent Iron Man. It is our new Iron Man title, like moniker on the Iron Man series with issue 9. We've got Gwenpool issue 2. We've got Wonder Woman issue 22 of the Tom King run. We've got Wolverine issue 10, X-Men issue 18, Phoenix issue 12. Zatanna hits issue 5, and I believe there's still at least one more issue of that Zatanna run to go. Ultimates issue 13, Titans issue 24, Dr. Aphra Chaos Agent issue 1, Spider-Verse versus Venomverse issue 2. Speaking of Spider-Man, issue 6 of The Amazing Spider-Man came out this week, and we've got Felicia on the cover, so anytime there's a black cat part of our Spider-Man story, I'm in. We've got Rat City issue 15, New Gods issue 7, Nightwing issue 109. That's way old, isn't it? That's way old. That's not right. We've got, I'm like, that's not now. We've got Moon Knight issue 9, Moon Knight Fist of Khonshu issue 9. We've got the Flash issue, Absolute Flash issue 4. We've got Avengers issue 27. We've got Batman, Superman, World's Finest issue 40. Detective Comics issue 1089. We've got Catwoman issue 77. We've got Bring On the Bad Guys starting, which is the like anthology series of different bad guys from the Marvel Universe, and we started with Doom, and this is an Eastman Doom cover. We've got Godzilla versus Avengers issue 1, which is actually not going to be the one shot like the other Marvel versus Godzillas. That's actually going to be like a full little mini with that. And then we had, this week, we had the Adventures Comics 210 facsimile of the first appearance of Crypto. If you didn't know, if you buy a copy of this book in this poly bag like this week's facsimile, if you open it up, inside there is a chance to win a ticket to the premiere of Superman in LA with James Gunn. And so in there's going to be a little golden doggy biscuit that's going to tell you whether or not you won. We still have copies, so if you need to find out if you win, come in, grab one. It's, grab it. well, you have to buy it and then open it and then find out whether or not you have a chance to go see the movie. It's a cool way to find out what happens in that Superman movie. All right, so we've got some trade paperbacks in stock. I did not grab all of them, so thank you, Matt, for grabbing them for me because I totally forgot. We've got The Sickness. This is volume 1. This is from Uncivilized Books. This is such a good, crazy story. This is another one where like the art is insane. If you're a fan of Junji Ito manga, you definitely want to check out this book because it also has a lot of that like weird storytelling. It's got 3 stories layered on top of each other about a sickness that's driving people to go crazy at 3 different points in time, and the psychologist that's trying to figure it out. Where Monsters Lie. This is volume 2 of that with Cul-de-sac. This is issues 1 through 4, the whole volume. And this is basically what would it be like if a bunch of monsters lived in a gated community and have to deal with some of that. And this is the second volume in that. You kind of do need to read the first one, but if you just grab this one, you'd probably still enjoy the story. And speaking of Kyle Starks, who wrote that, we also have Kill Them All. This is a disgraced ex-cop looking to get his job back, world's greatest assassin, betrayed by her people, and a bunch of crazy hijinks and stuff coming your way from Kyle Starks. It's going to be a hilarious, violent, revenge-filled story that you're going to want to check out, and I'm very excited to read it. We've got a new printing of Hauntology. I can never say this. Yes, we're going to go with that's how you say it.
Hauntology?
Hauntology. Okay, I was like, did I get it right? I always feel like I did. This is Jeremy Hahn. This is 28 short stories and vignettes of horror from Jeremy Hahn, who has actually just launched a podcast, I believe, to go with this. But this is now... it's back in stock, and Jeremy, like I said, he's doing a new podcast. And if you don't know, Jeremy is also one of the people in charge of the new publishing company coming soon, Ignition, and it's going to have a lot of cool stuff to do with that. So we've got The Authority. This is, oh my gosh, this is volume 2, so it's issues 13 through 29 plus The Authority Annual 2000, and stories from the Wildstorm Summer Special, and a bonus gallery of behind-the-scene extras. So if you're getting excited to see The Authority come to the DC universe, you might want that. Missing on the Moon is in trade paperback form now. This is a great Mad Cave story. Speaking of cool sci-fi, this is a sci-fi detective story on the moon in an alternate 1997 when things were just crazy. Volume 1 of Seasons is here. This is issues 1 through 4 of Rick Remender's current story right now that has been really fun, about the Season sisters who are daughters of these detectives who went missing years ago, and some crazy clowns are showing up and trying to ruin everything. We've got Hack Slash versus Body Bags in. This is the series that just came out, that just wrapped up. It's all 4 issues of the Worlds of Hack Slash and the Worlds of Body Bags teaming up. We've got the compact version of Batwoman Elegy. This is the definitive Batwoman story. It's such a good book. Greg Rucka on writing and J.H. Williams III on art. This is the whole story for $9.99. If you have not read this, it's such a good Batwoman book, and now it'll fit in your Loungefly. It's just the important thing. And then back in stock, we've got the Transformers Compendium. This collects issues 1 through 46 of the original 1984 Marvel run of Transformers, as well as the Transformers Headmasters 1 through 4. This is a massive, massive book, and it is a soft bound paperback, so it actually will completely crack open for you.
It's on newsprint.
It's on newsprint too.
And it's only $65.
Yeah, it's the same as the Invincible Compendium, so it's $64.99, and it is huge.
Gorgeous.
It's such a good collection, and they have this, and they have the G.I. Joe one too, which is issues 1 through 50 of the original G.I. Joe run. And then don't forget to come in and pick this up. We are not open tomorrow or Tuesday, so come pick it up on Wednesday and just join us for book club, Queer Book Club, which starts at 6 p.m. Wednesday night. Even if you haven't read it, it's great to come and just enjoy an awesome, amazing book and kind of hear about it and see if it's the book for you. We're going to be doing this queer book club once a month, and Molly Saunders, like I said, who is a queer librarian and advocate, is going to be selecting the books for us, and so we're very excited to launch that with the Magic Fish this Wednesday, and come join us at 6 p.m. Creators meet up with us at 6:30 on Thursday for creator meetup, and don't forget to join us for Slam Academy on Saturday at 3:30 and Story Spelunkers at noon on Saturday. It's going to be, as always, a fun week at Bat City, so make sure you come hang out with us. We'll have all of your new comics on Wednesday to get you started on what you need to read before next week's Wind Down Your Weekend. We'll see you on Wednesday for all of that fun. Until then, happy reading, everyone. Bye.